Really interesting hearing what people think about art. I suppose art more generally, it's not just about contemporary art, of course. Let's introduce you to our guest this morning. We have Thom Hetherington, CEO of By Art Fair. Very good morning, to you. Clare, Lilley, Yorkshire Sculpture Park, and David Shrigley, who's an artist himself. So, Thom, first of all, people were talking that there are those danger words, I think, on art, like accessibility and whether people understand. How conscious is the art world of making sure people get what's going on?
I think historically, as someone who got into art from the outside, they've not been great at it. There's almost been a problem to understand that there isn't a finite set of people who get art and people who don't, that it's a dynamic and people can move from one to the other. And when we first launched By Art Fair in Manchester 10 years ago, I did it out of frustration that it was so hard to buy art in the north of England. There were only 3 galleries in the city, and people in London said, well, there's only 3 galleries because no one buys art. And my argument was, no one buys art because there's hardly any galleries. They need that engagement and that familiarity, really. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, so Clare, your whole thing is about engagement, isn't it? Because you just describe, you have a park,
we have a park, it's 500 acres of 18th century landscape, and in 1977 when the sculpture park was founded, nobody thought that anybody wanted to look at contemporary art. A marketeer would have told you not to do this thing, and now last year we had an audience of over 600,000, and we have a learning programme of over 40,000. People come through our learning programme every year. The appetite is enormous.
And do you see individuals arriving sceptical? And sort of maybe there's one thing that lights up for them.
Sometimes we feel like we're sort of converting by stealth, you know. So I have over the years had letters from people saying, I saw this Henry Moore however many years ago, I thought it was a load of old rubbish, and then I saw it this morning as I was walking the dog, and the light hit it in this way, and suddenly it became something that was really meaningful to me. And those are sort of really wonderful stories, and they're really wonderful journeys. And we take people, you know, it's a kind of a mutual trust, and it's a mutual respect. You have to be really respectful of people and how they come into your institution. And similarly, we want a degree of respect from them of how they deal with the artworks.
It's really interesting.
It's a conversation.
Yeah, David, so you're a sculptor, and people will have seen your work in various places already. We were talking about that thing about how much people get about what you do. Presumably you're slightly removed from that in a way, are you? Because you just have to do what you want to do and then hope that it has an impact, that people get something from it. Is that how it works?
I guess so. I guess you're not there most of the time when the work gets displayed, so you don't stand beside it and tell people.
Have you ever done that thing where you sneaked in and tried to see how people react?
Yeah, I have, but you don't want to ask them unless you don't like the answer. You have to be careful. But I think the way that I think about the way that people consume and look at contemporary art is that I think the biggest mistake that people who aren't familiar with looking at contemporary art make is that they're not allowed to have an opinion about it, just a sort of, you know, visceral opinion. But they're allowed not to like it. It's like if you turn on the radio at random, you don't necessarily like the music that you hear, that you find. You have an opinion about it. But for some reason, I think people look at contemporary art and they think that it's some kind of test of their intellect.
Do you guys disagree? There's like a caution around saying what you think.
Yeah, I think there's a huge caution. And Nicola Sirota famously said that he remembers what it's like not to understand contemporary art. And again, I think that's a very important point, that people aren't born, they don't drop from the womb wanting to acquire very difficult conceptual video art installations. You know, there is a process, and I think anything that all of us in the art world can do to provide people with a toehold and a first kind of insight into art and a first interest and curiosity in art is a wonderful thing.
I want to take a moment with David. Just talk us through your latest work people are going to see. This is the plinth, which is going to be in Trafalgar Square.
Yes.
So I think we can see the image up on screen now. If we can bring that up and just explain a little bit about that, because it's a beautiful thing. I mean, it has scale, doesn't it?
It's 7 meters high. It's made of bronze. The patina sort of mimics all the other sculpture, the other statues in the square, like the lions and Lord Nelson and all that stuff.
And I'm sorry, we haven't actually got the picture here. You best explain. It's a thumbs up, essentially, isn't it?
It's a thumbs up with the thumb elongated.
Super extended.
Super extended, 7 meters tall, and it's called Really Good. And I guess when I proposed it, I hadn't anticipated that it would actually be commissioned, but it has. So I'm here having to talk about it. But the basic premise was it was examining perhaps how art can make the world a better place. In that, in a way, it's a preposterous, ridiculous idea to suggest that a public sculpture can improve the world. But then, paradoxically, as an artist, you have to think that your work improves the world. We all think that art is a good thing and that it's a positive intervention. So it's, I'm hoping, in a funny way, that it is about that.
Well, it's very interesting. The thumbs up, the most simple of signs in a way. Thank you all very much.